Welcome to World Alert Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. Good evening. Tonight we begin with a story that has sent shockwaves through the heart of American sports and left millions of fans reeling. It's a story about dreams, ambition, and a sudden, stunning reversal of fortune. Let's talk about soccer, or, as the rest of the world calls it, football. For decades, the United States has been striving to earn its place on the global stage of this beautiful game. Hosting the World Cup was supposed to be the moment when America finally arrived, when the world's eyes would turn to our stadiums, our cities, and our fans. But on August 19, 2025, Americans woke up to a headline that felt like a collective kick in the shins. Shock move: FIFA pulls 2026 World Cup final and key matches from us. The disbelief was instant, spreading from coast to coast. Social media exploded with confusion and outrage. Sports talk shows scrambled to make sense of the news. For many it felt like a bad dream, one they desperately hoped would end when they woke up. FIFA, the global football authority, had just told the United States, "Thanks, but no thanks." After years of planning, negotiations, and anticipation, the rug had been pulled out from under the world's largest economy and one of its most passionate sports markets. The dream of hosting the world's biggest sporting event, years in the making, vanished overnight. Stadiums that were supposed to be filled with roaring crowds and international excitement now stood silent, their lights dimmed, their banners coming down before the party even began. The U.S. was set to host 60 of 80 matches, including the final at MetLife Stadium, a venue that had been preparing for a once-in-a-lifetime spectacle. The anticipation was palpable, with fans from every corner of the country making plans to witness history. Cities had poured millions into upgrades, expecting a festival of unity and sport. Local businesses invested, hotels expanded, and entire communities rallied around the promise of welcoming the world. For many it was more than just a tournament, it was a chance to showcase American hospitality, innovation, and spirit. Instead, it became a globally televised belly flop. The world watched as America's big moment slipped away, leaving fans and organizers alike in a state of shock and embarrassment. The disappointment was palpable, not just in the empty seats, but in the hearts of millions who had dreamed of this moment. FIFA's statement cited insurmountable logistical and security challenges. The words were clinical, but the message was clear: something had gone terribly wrong behind the scenes. Rumors swirled about disagreements over security protocols, last-minute construction delays, and political tensions that proved too much for even the world's most powerful sports organization to ignore. Translation: "We don't trust you to handle our billion-dollar baby." The implication stung. For a nation that prides itself on pulling off the impossible, this was a rare and very public failure. Just like that, the world's biggest sporting event was snatched away, leaving America with a giant, star-spangled question mark. What went wrong? Could it have been prevented? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of soccer in the United States? For now, all that remains is the echo of what could have been. A dream imploded, and a nation left searching for answers. The reaction across the U.S. was chaos, confusion, anger, and embarrassment. It was as if the nation had been collectively blindsided. In living rooms across the country, families gathered around their televisions, their faces a mix of disbelief and frustration. News anchors struggled to maintain composure as they reported on the unfolding chaos, their voices tinged with incredulity. Crowds gathered in public spaces, their expressions a blend of confusion and upset as they tried to make sense of the situation. Social media exploded with denial and outrage, blaming everyone from the president to FIFA's leadership. The digital landscape was a cacophony of angry comments and heated debates. People typed furiously on their smartphones, their fingers flying across screens as they vented their frustrations. Talk radio hosts gestured wildly, their voices rising in passionate tirades. Online forums were crowded with users, each one eager to share their opinion on who was to blame for this unprecedented debacle. But this time, the problem was at home. America, the country that put a man on the moon, couldn't organize a soccer tournament. It was a national humbling. The juxtaposition of a NASA rocket launch with an empty, quiet soccer stadium was a stark reminder of the nation's capabilities and its current failure. The American flag flew at half-mast outside the stadium, a symbol of the disappointment felt by many. Crowds with disappointed expressions lingered outside, while inside, a lone maintenance worker tidied up the empty stands. The World Cup was supposed to unite a divided country. Instead, those very divisions were exposed as the reason for its cancellation. Protesters took to the streets, their voices loud and demanding answers. Meanwhile, flag-waving crowds gathered in defiance, determined to show their support for the event that would never be. In sports bars, heated arguments broke out as patrons debated the reasons behind the cancellation. Public viewing events turned into scenes of division, with crowds split down the middle. Even family gatherings were not immune as tense discussions erupted around dinner tables. The official response was corporate damage control, but no PR could hide the truth. This was a monumental failure. A corporate spokesperson stood at the podium delivering carefully crafted statements designed to placate the public. Behind closed doors, PR teams worked tirelessly, strategizing ways to spin the narrative. Journalists took notes at press briefings, their pens scratching furiously across notepads as they documented the unfolding story. The press conference was somber, the American flag serving as a backdrop to the grim reality of the situation. Kids asked why the World Cup wasn't coming anymore. The answer? Organizing things is hard. On youth soccer fields across the nation, children in soccer uniforms looked up at their coaches, their faces a mix of confusion and disappointment. Coaches knelt down, trying to explain the situation in terms young players could understand. The empty soccer goals stood as silent witnesses to the dreams that had been dashed. It was a lesson in the complexities of organization and the challenges of bringing a global event to life. So, what exactly went wrong? How did the world's most powerful sports nation fumble the ball so spectacularly on the global stage? Let's break down the comedy of errors that led to FIFA showing us the red card. According to FIFA's scathing report, the US bid was plagued by a perfect storm of logistical nightmares, endless political gridlock, and security policies that felt more like a cold shoulder than a warm welcome. It was as if every department was playing a different sport, and no one bothered to read the rule book. Our massive, state-of-the-art stadiums looked impressive on paper, but in reality, they were isolated islands, separated by a confusing patchwork of transit systems. Fans faced marathon journeys just to get from one match to another, with public transportation that seemed designed to test their patience rather than their team spirit. Instead of a unified federal plan to tie everything together, there was a tangled mess of state and city initiatives, each with its own priorities and paperwork. Coordination was more wishful thinking than reality, leaving everyone scrambling and no one truly in charge. Political infighting over who would pay for what and how to handle security created an atmosphere of uncertainty that FIFA simply couldn't tolerate. Every decision seemed to spark a new debate, and progress was measured in inches, not miles. And then there was security, the final straw that broke the camel's back. Stadium entrances became bottlenecks, with fans subjected to intense scrutiny and endless lines, all in the name of safety. The US insisted on strict visa and entry policies, making it nearly impossible for some teams, journalists, and fans to even set foot in the country. The world's game suddenly felt like an exclusive club with a very tough bouncer at the door. FIFA wanted a month-long festival of football, a global celebration. Instead, America built a fortress, complete with fences, cameras, and a vibe that was more high alert than high five. In the end, it wasn't one catastrophic failure, but 1,000 small ones. Lost luggage, delayed buses, empty ticket booths, and a general sense that the left hand never knew what the right was doing. Faced with a disorganized, rigid host, FIFA made a business decision. They moved the tournament to partners who were actually ready to roll out the red carpet, not just the red tape. And just like that, the world's biggest party packed up and left for friendlier fields. While the US stumbled, Canada and Mexico quietly excelled. They were ready for the moment America faltered. Canada presented a unified front. Federal and provincial governments worked together, streamlining security and transportation. Mexico, with its rich football history, leveraged past experience and government commitment. Both countries coordinated closely, forming a joint committee and presenting FIFA with solutions, not excuses. When FIFA made the switch, Canada and Mexico simply activated their contingency plans. The contrast was brutal: America's chaos versus its neighbors' quiet competence. The economic fallout was immediate and brutal. Cities had invested millions in stadiums, transport, and marketing, expecting a $5 billion boost. Hotels, restaurants, and small businesses geared up for a windfall, then faced empty rooms and mounting debt. In places like Kansas City and Miami, public funds spent on World Cup prep vanished with nothing to show but regret. The loss wasn't just immediate. America's reputation as a reliable host was shattered, making future bids for global events far less likely. The World Cup fiasco created a chilling effect, costing the US not just money, but decades of opportunity. The biggest casualty wasn't money or prestige, it was trust. America, once seen as the world's indispensable nation, now looked unreliable. International bodies like FIFA and the IOC saw the US as a high-risk partner. Political polarization and broken promises became red flags for future events. The World Cup was meant to showcase American unity and hospitality. Instead, it highlighted dysfunction. Allies were embarrassed. Adversaries pointed to US decline. America had put itself in the penalty box of global event hosting, its credibility on the world stage deeply damaged. Beyond headlines and spreadsheets, the real story is the human cost. Maria, a diner owner near MetLife Stadium, remortgaged her home for the World Cup dream. Now, she faces financial ruin. Fans like the Martinez family in Houston had saved for years, planning their summer around the tournament. Their disappointment was personal, a broken promise from their own country. Thousands of volunteers like Sarah in Los Angeles saw years of effort evaporate overnight. The sense of collective deflation was immense. The failure wasn't just political or economic. It let down millions of ordinary Americans who believed in the unifying power of the World Cup. This isn't the first time FIFA's plans have unraveled. In 1986, Colombia lost the World Cup due to economic crisis and instability. Mexico stepped in as a reliable substitute. The US failure is different, a self-inflicted wound from political dysfunction, not poverty. Both cases shattered national dreams and forced FIFA to scramble. The lesson hosting the World Cup demands unwavering commitment. No nation, however wealthy, is too big to fail. America forgot that and paid the price. What's the lesson? Modesty? Being the biggest doesn't make you the best. Canada and Mexico showed the value of teamwork and preparation. America assumed FIFA would accept its chaos. The world proved otherwise. The path forward requires reflection. Can the US come together for a common goal? Great teams know how to pass. They trust each other. This painful episode could be a blessing if America chooses to learn, rebuild, and become a reliable teammate again. The ball is on the other side of the field. It's time to earn it back.